So thank you. So here's the fun. Follow me down the rabbit hole now. So Volhard Dog Nutrition has 3 diets. So I introduced one to you earlier in this conversation called the AM/PM diet. That is the original diet that occurred and was brought up. That happened in the 80s. So I want to bring to bear some context for you. Volhard has 3 diets. The first diet of which was created in the 80s. It started in the 70s in her kitchen, became a commercial diet in the 80s. And in the 90s, a second diet was born called NDF2. And in 2019, we have a new diet that just landed called Rescue. Those are the 3 diets. The 2 original diets, the AM/PM diet and the NDF2, are original formulas and have not changed since their inception. We don't follow fads. We don't do trends. We have a diet that has worked for 30 or 40 years, and that is the diet that holds fast. And everyone else who follows trends and sort of weirdly leans around the curve every time something changes always ends up to right where Wendy started. So there's that for context. We are a company that has been around for a very long time. So the original diet, the AM/PM diet, is unique. It is a 2-part diet. It is called our separation diet. And it is very kind to senior dogs. It is very kind to dogs who are healing from injury or illness. And it is a great diet for dogs who are having digestive issues, pancreatitis issues, liver enzyme issues, kidney issues. And that is because of the separation. And I'll explain what that means.
Right.
The separation is separating the digestion of carbohydrate from the digestion of protein. And this is a 2-part foundation mix. You need both parts to make the diet whole. In the morning, you feed what is called AM porridge, which looks like oatmeal, for lack of a better suggestion.
Right.
And to that, you add whole milk yogurt and you add a vegetable of your choice. Okay? So you have this oatmeal base, you add a vegetable and whole milk yogurt, you add water to rehydrate the foundation mix, you mix that all together, and then you feed that to your dog. In the evening, there is a separate foundation mix. It's a different color, it's a different texture. It is brown, and it's a very fine grind. And it's brown because there's chicken liver in it. And you know when you draw with crayons, you have all these colors, and then you add brown, and everything's brown. Well, chicken liver is brown, folks. So everything becomes brown.
And the dog does.
So that's why
that it's brown.
Yes. So to that, you add protein, and you get the flexibility of this diet is that you get to choose what protein you add. So if you have dogs that have an aversion to beef or an aversion to chicken or turkey or fish, you can choose what, and you can rotate, and you can create a very flexible diet, yes, for your dog without ever changing the food, which is a wonderful thing. Now, when I say it's a separation diet and why it's easy on digestion is that different ingredients compete in the body for digestion time. So the priority is protein in the body. So if you're feeding protein with carbohydrate, the competition leans toward protein. That means that the vegetable in the diet either gets sped up or slowed down in the process of digestion based on what protein you choose, based on what vegetable you choose. It can change the level and the time of digestion in the body. That can be troublesome for some dogs that are having digestive issues, because if it speeds up the process too fast, you get mucousy stool that is not firm and is not formed. If you have too slow of digestion, things ferment in the dog's body, and you can also get stool that is affected by that fermentation process. To give you an example, if you have too much fruit in a diet that is filled with also protein and carbohydrate, the fruit is the last priority, and it sits in the digestive tract the longest, and it actually becomes slightly dangerous because it ferments and can turn into some level of alcohol. Wow. It's a funny thing what the body does. So for dogs who are elderly, who are having digestive issues, who can't form a stool to save their life for whatever the reason, you've been struggling, this diet is very kind to them because the body can focus only on carbohydrate and vegetable, which are around the same time of digestion and use the same enzymes. And then you can focus later in the evening on protein, and they don't have to compete. There's no competition. There's nothing sitting in the digestive tract waiting to be digested. It's a done deal. And that's a lovely thing. So that's what that AM/PM diet is. And it's really quite functional for the body.
Right.
The NDF2 diet was the second diet to be born. That was in the 90s. And it is the same ingredients as the AM/PM diet. And it was born out of convenience. Everybody pushed Wendy and said, what if I don't want to have yogurt on hand? What if I don't want to make a vegetable? What if I don't want to be, a chef and do all this? And I don't want to have 2 foundation mixes. My dog is fine. I just want a convenient, fresh diet that I can have 1 foundation mix that are fed twice a day. You add whatever protein. There's still the flexibility of protein. And you feed the same meal twice a day. You add water to rehydrate the dehydrated product, and you feed it. Well, lifestyle-wise, that was much more convenient. So that's how NDF2 was born. Calorically, they are very different, though. So I'll share with you what that is. Even though they have the same ingredients, they are formulated in 2 different ways, and one does have less protein and does have less carb. This is important information, folks, because if you're working with a dog that is obese, NDF2 may be your diet because it's got less carbohydrate. If you're working with a dog that doesn't need quite as much protein, this may be your diet. This diet is hugely kind to all animals, so it doesn't matter whether they're sick or whether they're senior or whether they're healthy. If your dog can tolerate this diet without issue, it's a great diet for them to use. So these 2 fall under the Natural Diet Foundation umbrella because the ingredients are very similar. These diets were tested. So like Dana said, you have human-grade ingredients where it's appropriate. We have organic ingredients where it's appropriate. We have all of our foods are non-GMO, no matter where we have to go to do that. The vegetables and the grains are non-GMO. They meet AAFCO and NRC requirements to keep your dog alive for the day and exceed that requirement to allow your dog not just to live for the day, but to be whatever your dog wants to be. Do whatever your dog needs to do. Thrive.
So speak to that just a little bit about the AAFCO requirement. And I always, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what we see in kibble is the minimums. They're meeting minimums.
Yes, it's to keep your dog alive for the day.
Right.
That's what they're formulated to do. And when they're tested, these large companies test their food. They do feeding tests, feeding trials through AAFCO. It is 7 or 8 beagles in a lab setting who do nothing all day. They feed them to see what that food's going to do for them. And they figure out where the minimum requirement is to keep that beagle alive. That beagle never sets foot in grass. That beagle never runs or works. That is a lab dog. So what's very different with our company, Volhard, is that we don't do AAFCO feeding trials. We do not use 8 beagles in a lab to feed our food. Instead, we use dogs of every breed, dogs of every size, dogs living in different regions of the country, dogs of different ages, dogs of different health. We use real dogs that go out and play. We use police dogs. We use working dogs. We use every kind of dog, show dogs. We use them. And then the food is eaten, and we see and we get feedback on how those dogs are appropriating the diet into their working bodies or their couch potato bodies or their, husky body or their Yorkie body, whatever that is. And we get feedback. We get feedback through communication verbally.
Mhm.
We get feedback through pictures. We get feedback through blood work, urine, fecal, biofeedback. We get blood work through kinesiology. We get blood work that splits out not only CBC and chems, but looking at thyroid profiles, full thyroid profiles. We're looking at full kidney profiles. We're looking at inflammation blood work. We're looking at vitamin D blood work. We look at not just the surface. And we continually get that information over the course of that dog's life, not just for a 6-week period.
Yeah, and I don't know any other company that can say that. And certainly not
No, they do AFCO trials.
right.
That's what they do.
Certainly not a company that can say they have been doing it for 40 years.
Right.
You know?
Right. So we are formulated for all breeds, all ages, and all different sizes and whatever. We don't have breed-specific foods. We have a dog-specific food that we can then flexibly tailor to the dog that's sitting in front of us.
Right.
That's what we do. So here is the fun, folks. Here's more testing for you to blow your mind. We have a test and hold procedure. So every ingredient that comes into our plant is tested for E. coli, salmonella, fungus, mold, and listeria. 5 things. If that ingredient does not pass the test, it is not used in our food. If the ingredient passes that test, then we do a batch of food. We do small batches of food, which is then tested again before it leaves the plant as a food going to the public. And this is our test and hold procedure. If it does not pass the test, or if it's not tested, we will not just release food into the general population until we have those certified results. And it is tested for salmonella, E. coli, mold, fungus, and listeria. And it has to pass all those tests. And then it goes into the queue to get to you, the consumer, where you can feed that food safely. We have recently done third-party testing on both the NDF2 and the AMPM diets. That is, we ship them a bag of food that is kept as a blind test to the labs. They have no idea what food they're testing. They just test it and get the results. They give us those results, and we get a complete nutritional analysis, which makes us hugely transparent. This is something you can share with your vet. This is something that you can share if you do your own research. And that nutritional analysis tells you exactly what's in our food and how it compares to the standards set forth, the cruddy standards, but standards all the same, set forth by the NRC and AFCO. Mm-hmm. We exceed them. We don't exceed them in an exorbitant way where we put your dog at risk from exceeding them, but we come into a range where we're solidly sure that the amino acid profile in our food allows your dog to do their best to ward off predisposed issues for certain diseases that are amino acid based. Mm-hmm. One of them is DCM. Right. We don't have to add taurine to our food. Synthetic taurine is going to do nothing for your dog. What that does is check a box for the food company that says we did our due diligence of making sure that our crappy product did not bake all the amino acids out of it. So we add a little bit of synthetic taurine to make sure that the levels are so high that some bioavailability may happen to your dog. So here's the difference. I can give you the Volhard amino acid profiles, which show you exactly the building blocks of amino acids that are in that food from whole food sources, nothing synthetic. And if your dog is capable of making taurine, if your dog's not ill, and you can take methionine and cysteine and make taurine inside the dog's body, your dog will have plenty of taurine. I don't need to add synthetic taurine to my food. Right. And I certainly don't need to add it as a knee-jerk reaction to everybody's panic to DCM. Mm-hmm. When DCM happened, I went through and I teased out the fibers. Remember I said that to you. And I asked the hard questions, and we did the hard testing to make sure that our diets met what we needed them to meet. We do a ton of testing, folks. We do a ton of testing. No, we do not have a full-time veterinary nutritionist on our staff. I'm going to tell you why. Because there's nothing for them to do most of the time. And we're not going to pay someone a 6-figure salary and charge you a ton of money for the food or take it away from the ingredients of our food just to say we have a veterinary nutritionist that is 24/7 on board. Now, I will tell you this. We have a veterinary nutritionist that helps us formulate any product that we make. We have a veterinary nutritionist that I can call up anytime I need and have them look at something or give us some kind of assessment. But no, they're not on our payroll 24/7 for no good reason because we're not formulating 24/7.
So one of my clients actually works for a veterinarian. She's not a vet tech. She's more of an administrative assistant or an executive assistant. And she reached out to me about feeding the Volhard diet. And I said, sure. And long story short, I was just pleased as punch when the veterinarian she works for says, now that's a good food. You know, so yeah,
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Listen, transparency, that's what you want. You know, don't let somebody throw some kind of chitter chatter at you and say, but it doesn't meet this or doesn't meet that. You have to look at the motivation behind all of that. And unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but there are motivated people who are motivated for the wrong reasons. And we're motivated for the right reasons. We're on your dog's team. So I've talked about 2 diets, AM/PM and NDF2. NDF2, same ingredients as AM/PM, same foundation mix twice a day. You add protein, water, stir, and you're off to the races. A very convenient diet. The 3rd diet that we have is Rescue. And this came out a year ago, 2019. And Wendy Volhard had been formulating on this diet for 2 years. She was trying to formulate a diet that would help dogs who seem to be suffering tremendously from allergies, sensitivities, pancreatitis, high liver enzymes, diabetes, kidney disease. All of these dogs, and these genuinely, most of them were rescue dogs. So they were a smattering of multiple dogs inside of them with a lot of variables that we did not know. And with the popularity of adopting a dog from the shelter, you get a mixed bag, folks. You get a lot of variables you just don't know about. You don't know if they were vaginally birthed or whether they had C-section and that dog was privy to its mother's bacterial, good bacteria when it was born. You don't know if that dog was even healthy or the dad was healthy.
Right.
So you just don't know. All you know is the dog that's sitting in front of you is scratching to death. You don't know, but they're breaking out in hives about everything. You don't know every time they eat this food, something bad happens. They're chronic diarrhea that you can't seem to stop. Your dog, when they change foods, sometimes gets diarrhea because of whatever the difference in the ingredients. But it shouldn't go on for 8 months. And if there's a dog food company out there that says your dog is detoxing for 8 months, your dog's body is trying to tell you that food is not good for them. I'm not saying the food is not good. I'm saying that food is not good for your dog because your response your dog is giving is trying to tell you that. So no matter how good the food is, it has to be a good match. So 8 months, your dog should not be detoxing. Do not let anybody tell you that. There is a logical transition that happens where your dog will show some exhibition of detoxing, but it is a short-term thing. It should start to right itself. We say at Volhard, 1 bag of food. 1 bag of food's worth, and you're going to start to see changes. It's not like kibble. You can't throw it on the floor and say, my dog loves that food. Your dog loves that food because kibble is filled with palatants. They're spraying it with things that your dog loves to eat. So they're going to be drawn toward it. Our food is like granola. I will be honest with you. It's like changing from Fruit Loops to granola. Your dog's going to look at you and be like, Karen, I don't know what you put in this bowl.
See, I disagree with that. I have, in all the time I've been doing this, there have been exceptional, and I can count them on one hand, the number of dogs that said, most of them devour it the first time you present it. Most of them.
And I've had a very similar experience, but I have had some dogs who in that first moment go, Karen, you can pick this up. I'm going to starve. Here's Husky. Here where Huskies come in. I'm going to starve myself until you feel really crappy and you put that Fruit Loops back down on the floor, Karen. Put them back down. I'm going to wait you out. And of course, a pet parent's like, oh my God, my dog's not eating this food. Well, there is never, and I challenge you to find the case, never been a case where a dog has starved themselves to death. Okay? Folks, your dog would eat paper if that was the only option versus starving to death.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes we have to be the hard pet parent, and when you take away the Fruit Loops and you put the granola in front of them, about the third week in, they're like, this granola is not really going away, is it? So, this is going to be a meeting of the minds. I will wait you out, Karen. I will wait you out. Fruit Loops. Your dog is not going to starve themselves to death. So, listen, I make it funny because you will find yourself in this situation at some point where you put that down and your dog goes, nope, not feeling it, sorry. You may have had that even with kibble. Some kibbles are sprayed very well. Some kibbles, you put them down and the dog's like, round, I'm used to the square ones, Karen. Round is not going to work today. I know this is a different food. You cannot sneak it up on me. So listen, dogs are smart. You know with the pill thing, right? You could put pill, wrap it in cheese, wrap it in bacon. Your dog will unwrap that and spit that pill out. They are smart. They are super smart. So, rescue. Now, I'm going to tell you this from my own anecdote. I have a non-vegetable fruit dog. Okay? Will not eat vegetables, will not eat fruits. Rescue is all about vegetables. But I'm going to tell you what the secret thing is. Come closer. Pork liver. Pork liver is the secret ingredient in rescue, and it makes vegetables taste delicious, kind of like Velveeta for your kids. So pork liver is delicious.
Cheese.
It's very hypoallergenic. So when you have a dog that's sick, there's these beautiful digestible vegetables in here. And I know that some of you are like, my dog won't eat vegetables. I'm telling you, pork liver, Velveeta. I'm telling you. So Velveeta should be paying me for promoting their cover sheet. So we have pork liver in that. It's not a chicken liver base like the other diets. It's got these beautiful, all of our diets have herbs, but Rescue's got beautiful herbs that help to detox the liver, that help to promote antioxidants. And you add whatever protein that you want. It's one foundation mix. You feed twice a day. You add the protein of your choice. So if you have a dog who's having inflammatory issues, chicken is not your friend. You want to go toward beef. You want to go toward a neutral cooling protein. And all of the ingredients in Rescue are formulated energetically along with the fact that they are balanced pH-wise. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into this, you guys. The layering. So you're looking at pH, you're looking at energy, you're looking at Chinese medicine, you're looking at sourcing so that it's non-GMO, that we're not introducing heavy metals and mercuries into an early toxic dog. All of these things are taken into account. They're all tested the same. So Rescue was the last one to come out. And I'm happy to say that my little Yorkie, who you could not, she doesn't eat green things. She eats the Rescue like that. Gone. Licks the stainless steel right off the bowl. So there is hope. There's hope. Yep. And so the only thing that happens that's different on Rescue versus the other diets is that most of the time the people who are feeding Rescue are feeding a sick dog. Yeah. And so there will be some detoxification and some stabilization that does happen. And that takes some time. So you will see, one of the things that you will see with Rescue in the beginning of feeding Rescue is larger stool volume. And that is because there's no grain in Rescue. It is the fiber from the vegetables and live enzymes, and those are going to be nature's broom for a little while, and they're going to be cleaning out all the gunk that has been building up on the cell walls of your digestive tract, your dog, not yours, unless you're eating it, the digestive tract of your dog, that's causing leaky gut, that's causing irritability and inflammation on the gut lining and the stomach lining. All of that stuff is going to slough off now, and you're going to have a period of time of detoxification with rescue, only because of the type of dog that we're targeting to fix.
Right.
So that's going to be a very natural outcome, and we can work with you on that, on what that looks like, and to help you not be afraid. Some dogs in the beginning of eating rescue, you will see some of the vegetables coming through. That is allowing the vegetables to rehydrate a little bit longer. It's a coarser chop. You can actually see the vegetables in rescue. So for a dog that's been on kibble, or for a dog that's having trouble digesting, that's why you're feeding rescue to begin with, you're going to have to let those vegetables hydrate a little bit longer. We're going to work with you to add other things to the diet, potentially like slippery elm or something that's going to help digestive enzymes that may help aid in your dog getting the most out of that food. But don't be alarmed.
Right.
Those vegetables that you saw in the beginning, give it 3 or 4 weeks, you will not be seeing those vegetables anymore. And that is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it tells you you've switched the light on with your dog and they're actually digesting now.
Yeah, especially if they're coming off of kibble to a diet like rescue. The body doesn't even know how to deal with those real foods for a while. It has to learn.
And really, honestly, chemically, what happens in your, and this happens to you as a person, when you don't eat certain foods certain ways, if you don't eat raw lettuce or spinach or those kinds of things, your body does not release the enzymes needed to digest them.
Right.
And so they just shut them off. They go dormant. It's the same thing with your dog. If your dog is not being subjected to certain live enzymes, those enzymes in your dog's body shut off and go dormant. It takes a little bit of time to wave a flag inside the digestive tract and say, oh my goodness, we have live enzymes now. Hey, somebody switch those things back on. And it takes a little time for that to happen.
That's right.
And the bacteria need to build up again. That diversity in your bacteria, the microbiome, all those things, your dog's body comes alive again. When you feed live food, your dog's body starts to wake up and come alive again. And folks, we are living beings. We thrive on living beings. Inside our body, bacteria, we need to have those living beings to stay healthy. So you feed dead food, you turn off systems. You feed live food, you keep the lights on inside that house.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say one more thing, Dana, and you may not be happy with this statement.
Uh-oh.
So it's okay. You may not be happy.
I can delete you.
You can. You can make this all go away, but I know you won't. If you're not comfortable going from kibble to a fresh diet and feeding raw right off the bat, we understand that.
Yep.
You can cook your dog's meat.
Sorry, UPS showed up and the dogs needed to greet him. So
very important. UPS is a threat.
So start that over and I'll fix the edit.
No problem. So you may not like what I'm about to say, Dana, because you're an avid raw feeder, but it's okay. Don't delete this.
I won't. I promise. And I'm going to tell
your pet parents. Yep. I'm going to tell your pet parents that if you're not comfortable making the jump from completely processed food to fresh food with a raw protein, you can cook the protein. You do not have to rip a Band-Aid off and pick one extreme or the other.
Right.
You can feel very comfortable that one of the beautiful things about Volhard is that we can put the fat, the healthy fat, back into the diet. You can cook your meat, throw away that fat, add your meat and a little bit of water, rehydrate, and it's okay to feed a fresh diet even if the meat, now I'm going to tell you, don't cook the meat till you can bounce it off the wall. You can braise it.
Right.
You can make it brown on the outside, pink on the inside, and then you can add that food and eventually work your way toward raw as you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with
Okay?
that. I don't disagree with your statement
Yeah.
at all. You get
Okay, good. Okay, good. She won't delete it, folks. It's not deleted. But I do want to put you at ease that you don't have to jump ship, especially if you have an immunocompromised dog.
Right.
If you have a dog that's healing from digestive surgery, mouth surgery, you do not want to, this may be in the course of your dog's life, your dog goes and has a tooth removed, you should cook your food until that heals. Not because the bacteria is going to hurt your dog, but what happens is we want to be kind to our dogs, and the bacterial load, while they're already fighting a healing process, we want to control that so that they can heal as quickly as they can without overdoing the bacterial load in that process. And that's okay, guys. It's okay because your dog is not in a normal situation. They will come back to normal. But if they're not in a normal situation, they've had something removed, you in their digestive tract, you want to be kind to them. Let them heal first and then go back to raw. And then they'll be at their nines without an issue.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
So that was
Is there any more
public service
about, I'll just also add that Volhard has a whole line of supplementation and treats accessible when you go shopping now. There are a lot of treats available and everything is just awesome. So Jennifer, thank you. This has been,
You are very welcome.
A few notes of things that I needed to remember or keep in mind, but this is fantastic. And I think this is going to help a lot of people as they're thinking about making the transition to not only to a raw diet, but ideally in choosing why Volhard makes a lot of sense for everybody. We have options.
It really does. It really does. And there's a lot of variability with Volhard. That's the last thing that I will just leave you with, is that the beauty of this is that you're able to switch proteins, you're able to switch vegetables in the AM/PM diet. You can really tailor this to your dog's need. Remember, feed the dog that's in front of you.
That's right. I say that about training too. Train the dog that stands before you. But not only do they get a great food, they get you and me.
They do. And the one thing that, the beauty of this is that, Dana's your first line and she's very knowledgeable. She's, certified as a canine nutritionist. She's very knowledgeable and can help you through those processes. But she also has the depth and bench to come back to the company. If something is flying 7 feet above our heads, if we don't know the answer, we will find you an answer.
Yep, I love that. I'm not going anywhere. Volhard is my choice of food. My dogs eat NDF2. I have a 5-year-old pit bull and 2 senior citizen weenies. One that I think is now 17 years old, and he is still thriving on the NDF2, and we haven't really seen a need to switch. I would if I felt that I needed to, but they're doing awesome. Yep. And I attribute it to when Howie had glaucoma and had his eye surgery a few years ago. He had an eye removed. I was terrified, of course, sending in this little senior to surgery. And of course they did the pre-blood work, to make sure he was okay to go under surgery or under anesthesia. And she came back and she said, his blood work is perfect. She said, I seldom see young dogs with blood work as good as his. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's awesome.
Nice.